Hello, my girls. Welcome to another episode of the Authentically Feminine podcast. I am so glad that you're here. Today, we're talking about how to be charismatic and how to step into your best self in 2025. I mean, I know that we are already in February, but it's never too late. And I have some great tips for you. So let's dive right into them. Number one, focus on connection. You want to focus on connecting with other people. A lot of us are so focused on taking from others, and we don't even realize that we are doing it. So, for example, if you are in a conversation with somebody, let's say you're on a date with a man, let's say you're just having a conversation with a friend or someone you're just getting to know, and you are constantly the one doing the talking. It's like a monologue. This is not conducive to connection, because people connect when they feel that they have a chance to speak and you have a chance to speak, right? It has to be a two-way street. It's like throwing a ball. You throw the ball to them, they throw the ball to you. You throw it back, they throw it back, right? It's like that is how a connection is formed. So when you are interacting with others, think about giving rather than taking. A lot of the time, we are trying to impress others. We're trying to tell them about ourselves and about our life and about our experience and let them know how great we are. And this partly comes from the desire to actually relate and connect to somebody, but it often backfires and has the opposite effect. So it doesn't leave the best impression. When you get curious about someone, you are giving to them, and you are more likely to create a connection. They're more likely to feel connected. When you're curious about somebody, when you ask them questions about themselves, about their lives, that is what can form a deeper connection. That is what's going to make you more memorable to somebody. I always say focus on being interested rather than being interesting, because both are important, right? You don't want to just sit in silence and not contribute anything, but you're actually offering a lot more value to someone if you're allowing them to speak and if you ask them interesting questions. And I'm going to get to a few really, really good research-backed questions that you can ask somebody in a couple of minutes. So another thing to do is it's very important to be authentic, right? And I love talking about authenticity because this is something that I came to not even that long ago, and it has literally changed my life. And I feel so passionate about being authentic, like being our authentic selves. I think it is just super important. And so you want to be authentic when you're trying to impress somebody, when you're trying to put up a front, when you're trying to be like that person or show that you have something in common just for the sake of it, just to be liked. You are doing yourself a disservice and you're doing the other person a disservice, because you're not being yourself. You can't connect with someone on false personalities. You can only connect with someone when you're really just being you. And it's so much easier to connect with others. Like, you have less anxiety, you're less worried about things. Like, you know that you were just being yourself. It's just so much easier to be yourself than to try to be someone else. You really expend so much less energy by being you. All right. So that is another way that you can focus on creating deeper connections, is by having the intention to be authentic, being authentically you. The next thing, number 2, commit to 1 or 2 goals. Better yet, just one goal for the next couple months. Because a lot of us, the new year comes around and it's January and we have a whole list of a whole bunch of goals that we want to achieve. And it's so radical to the life that we're living right now that it's very difficult to achieve those goals, right? We all know that the gyms are packed in January, and then towards, I don't know, it's like a month later, a couple of months later, the gym is empty again because people get excited. They have all these goals and then they end up not achieving them. It's very difficult to stick to those goals. And it's much more difficult to stick to a goal when you have a lot of them. And when you have goals that are extremely like out of what you're used to, right? Like, they are so far beyond what is achievable that you're much less likely to want to actually go after that goal. And when you commit to a whole bunch of changes, like when they don't work, we end up feeling like we failed. And so we get down on ourselves and we end up feeling worse. And then we end up not wanting to continue pursuing that goal. But if you have one single goal, it's much easier because you can put more time and attention into that goal. And I realize that it's very, very important to do this. And so I think that a good idea is to set one goal and don't make it something radical. Like, don't go from not going to the gym to having the expectation that you're going to go to the gym every single day, right? Don't go from never been on a dating app or never having gone out on a date with a man to setting the goal of going out every single day of the week on a date with a man, because it's going to be very difficult to achieve that, right? So instead, if your goal is to go to the gym, make the goal to move your body every single day. Maybe one day it's to go for a walk, or maybe it could be to do cardio every day. Maybe one day it's to go for a walk or a run. Maybe another day it's to go to the gym. Maybe another day, all that you have the capacity and the energy for is to do 10 jumping jacks in your living room, right? And that's okay. It is much easier to stick to that goal and to stay motivated when you allow yourself to take baby steps, when you're not making the goal this crazy big thing that you have to achieve, right? So super high expectations are going to make it more difficult to achieve the goal. If you want to start going out on dates, meeting more men, and you don't want to get burnt out by the dating apps and the dating process, then, I mean, this is what I did when I went on over 100 dates. Like, there was a point where I was dating men. I was going almost every single day of the week, but I felt like I had the energy for that. And I didn't start out doing this right away. I would sometimes go twice a week. I would sometimes go once a week. And sometimes I would go every single day, just depending on how I felt, right? But my goal was to start meeting more men, to start going out at least once a week with a man that I met on a dating app. And so that was my goal, and it was much more achievable, and I was able to stay motivated because of that. Another example of this is that I recently started a gratitude practice. I started meditating. It's either meditation, or it could be journaling, writing down things I'm grateful for, or just taking the time to literally stop and think about what I'm grateful for throughout the day. And so the goal was to implement gratitude into my life, the practice of gratitude. It wasn't to sit down and meditate every single day. It wasn't to sit down and journal and write about what I'm grateful for every day. I had sort of a variety of things that I could do. And it's much easier to continue to do this. And it's been a game changer for me, because if I decided to, okay, I'm going to start trying to feel more grateful, and I'm going to try to become a vegan, and I'm going to start trying to get out of my comfort zone and do something scary every single day. Like, it's too many goals and too many things that take a lot of energy and time to actually implement. And the fact that I decided that I'm just going to focus on gratitude, I was able to put so much more energy towards that every single day. And I did this for a few months, and now it's become such a natural thing that I do that I love it. Like, it's part of who I am now. And maybe if I had like 100 goals at the same time and 100 habits that I wanted to change, I would not have been able to do that. And so it's important to remember that all change begins with your mindset. And if you want to create a goal, then make it small enough so that you're going to stay motivated, and you're not going to be so disappointed if you fail. You're not going to be so disappointed if you didn't go to the gym today, but you did some stretches, or you went for a walk, or something to provide yourself with that feedback. Let yourself know that, you know what, you did it. You did your best, and you did something rather than nothing. And that was enough. So the goal should be small enough so that it's achievable, and big enough so that you are stepping a little bit out of your comfort zone. And when your goal is a little bit flexible and a little bit more variable, it's going to be more achievable, which is going to keep you motivated. Okay, the next point is make room for the new. If you want to attract more into your life, you have to make space for that. You have to make room for the new to come in, which means you have to get rid of certain things. You have to get rid of old clothing, get rid of old items in your home that you do not need, because things equal energy. Items that take up physical space, they are energetically affecting you. And so in order for you to feel like you have room to attract more, and in order for you to feel like a breath of fresh air, which is literally how I feel whenever I clean out my closet. So you need to make the space for that. Get rid of items that you do not need, that you are not using in your home. You want to get rid of everything that does not align with your personality and that does not align with the version of yourself that you want to be, the version of yourself that you want to grow into. Anything that doesn't align with that, get rid of it. It does not belong in your home. It's only going to weigh you down, because literally the way that I think about it is everything is energy. You look around your home, everything you see, everything you touch, everything you put on, it has some sort of effect on you energetically and how you think. The next thing to remove from your life is, you guessed it, toxic people. Chances are there is somebody in your life that is bringing you down somehow, that is negative, that likes to gossip, that is not bringing out the best version of you. You need to remove that person or those people from your life. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's someone you're dating. Maybe it's an ex that you're still talking to. It's time to let them go, because the people you interact with affect your thoughts, how you think, and your progress in life. They're either holding you back or they are facilitating your growth. It is so important. Anybody who's not on your wavelength or higher should not be in your life. A lot of us, we bond, especially women. It's like, I don't know, we have this thing where we tend to bond over gossip. We bond over negativity. We bond over the things that are going wrong in our lives, right? Like I did this so much when my baby was born, my baby girl. I mean, she's over a year now, but when she was born, like, you're so tired and you're so exhausted and your energy is just depleted. And all you want to do is complain and sleep. And so all of my mom friends, like, we would get together and we would say, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so this, the baby's teething, the baby's not sleeping. Like, you're just bonding over everything that is wrong because it's so difficult, right? And sometimes, you know, there's periods in your life where you go through that. But if this is how your relationship, if your relationship with someone is built around negativity, then that is not the right person for you. People that are close to you, their opinions affect you. And if you want to grow, if you want to move forward in your life, then it's very important for you to clean that out, to clean out all the garbage. And that includes the toxic people that are bringing you down and are not making you feel good about yourself. And so a good question to ask yourself is, do I not want to let go of certain people in my life because I have an unhealthy attachment to them, or because they genuinely add to my life? Because if somebody genuinely adds value to your life, then that's great. Keep them around. You don't need to let them go. But if you are holding on to somebody because you're afraid, then that's an unhealthy attachment. That's an unhealthy attachment. If you're holding on to a relationship or a man because you are afraid of anything, really, you're afraid of being alone, you're afraid of not finding someone else, you are afraid no one's going to love you, that is all false. False beliefs, get rid of them. And that is an unhealthy attachment. That is your sign that you are with the wrong person. And if you want to grow in your life and be expansive, be in your feminine energy, be the best version of who you are, then remember that you are the sum of the 5 people closest to you, the sum of 5. And so be very careful who you allow into your circle and who you surround yourself with. When I was a teenager, for actually a very long time, my close group of girlfriends were toxic to me, basically, because there were 4 of us who were very close, and then there were 3 of us, and we basically did everything together. We would go out places together. We would go to bars. We would go to clubs. We would go to shows. We would travel together. We did so many things together. And it took me years to realize that I was the one giving so much into this relationship, into this friendship, and I did not really get a lot back from them. Like, they did not really have my back. They did not support me. They a lot of the time they wouldn't even ask me like, what is going on in my life? How is everything in my life? And I was curious. I would ask and I would talk to them and I would give them advice, and we would connect over things, right? But I realized over time that that was an unhealthy friendship that I had with these girls. And it went on for so long that it was like a toxic relationship. It became the norm. When we are in the wrong relationship for long enough, we start to think that that's just normal. That is just how a relationship should be. And it's not true. And so there were times, and it probably sounds so silly, but I would get really upset because these girlfriends, they would never like my Facebook posts, right? They would never comment on my post and on my photos. And it seems like such a silly thing, but to me, it was a sign that they weren't really supporting me because, they were active on Facebook. They were doing things. They were posting. They were liking other people's posts. And it was just an accumulation of little things like that that eventually led me to realize that it was a one-sided friendship. And it was just so heartbreaking at the end when that friendship ended, because I had this attachment. I still had this attachment. They were my friends. Like, we've known each other for so long. But I realized that, what? That is not what a friendship is supposed to be like. And now I would never be friends with these types of girls. I would never let those types of people into my life. And now I realize that it's a good thing that that happened, that I went through that, and I had to go through that in order to realize that I deserve better. Now I realize that, wow, when I meet somebody who is a toxic person or a toxic friend, it becomes so much more clear to me that that is an unhealthy person. And maybe if I stayed in the, friends with those girls and I never came to the realization that they weren't good for me, maybe I would continue to attract even more toxic friends into my life because I wouldn't realize that that was wrong. So you have to look at how your friends are making you feel. How is a man that you're dating, how is a man in your life making you feel? Do you feel better after interacting with that person? Or do you feel worse after interacting with that person? And that is going to tell you whether someone is good for you. And so removing toxic people, we need to do this. This is part of the plan. All right? No more toxic people. Get rid of them. The next point, start visualizing your future self now. There is a best version of you, the ideal version of you that you want to become. She already exists, all right? I'm not going to get into the quantum physics and the manifestation, although I do want to talk about manifestation with you guys a little bit later because it's a game changer. It changed my life. It is incredible. I have so much to share with you. But there is the best version of you that already exists somewhere out there, all right? And in order to become her, you need to start to feel as if you are her. Feel in your body what it feels like to be her, right? Dress how she dresses. Set up your environment in a way that reflects how she lives her life. Live your life. Make decisions as that version of you, that higher version of you. And if you just sit down and visualize for 5 minutes a day, like 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, you sit down and you visualize what it feels like what she's doing, a day in her life. And you literally, you imagine her walking on the cobblestones in Paris, and you literally feel those cobblestones under your shoes. Like, it has to be so vivid that you can feel what's happening. 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. If you do this, you feel how she's feeling, what she's thinking, what she's doing, then you are going to get closer to that version of yourself. It's going to be so much easier for you to step into that version of yourself. Throughout the day, whenever you're making a decision, ask yourself, how would that best version of me react? Would she gossip? Would she complain? Would she judge somebody? Or would she be kind? Would she be friendly? Would she be open? Would she be respectful? Would she have self-respect? Would she set a boundary? How would she behave? And the more you practice getting into that version of yourself, because when you get into that version of yourself, you feel it, right? Like you you feel what it's like to be that version. The more you do this and the more you feel it, the more you're going to attract everything that that version of yourself has. Okay, the next point. Less small talk, more big talk. Nobody likes small talk, right? I mean, at least I don't think anybody does. And so if you want to be charismatic, memorable, you want to be the best version of you, you want to connect with others, then you want to go for the big talk. Going for the big talk and being memorable is about creating novelty, because people remember when you ask them something new or you inject something new into the conversation. When you have the same old conversations like, hey, how are you? Hey, how was your day? It's boring. It's so boring. And these are the types of conversations that most of us have. And for dating apps, this is a big deal. For dating apps, you want to stand out. You want to connect with somebody. And it's very difficult to do that if you're just asking the same old questions, having the same conversations that everybody's having, right? So you want to stand out. And so there's a woman named Vanessa Van Edwards, and she runs a company called The Science of People. So she's a behavioral scientist. She studies how people interact, how they communicate, and they did research to find out what the number one question was when you meet somebody, or when you're maybe on a date, you're in a conversation with somebody. So the top 3 questions were, first, what was the highlight of your day? What was the highlight of your day, right? The second question is there a passion project you're working on, right? This gets right into the heart of what that person is interested in, right? Is there a passion project you're working on? And the third one is, you got anything exciting coming up, right? Again, everyone's got something exciting going on in their lives. And so when you ask that question, it's a great opportunity for them to talk about it. And you can put your own spin on these questions, of course, but you get the idea. They're great to use on a date, when you're meeting someone new, when you're making friends. And when it comes to dating apps, for example, like I said, it's really important to stand out. And so I'll give you guys a question that I really like for dating apps, whether you're meeting a guy on a dating app, whether it's your first date. Here's what you can say to a man. So, have you met any incredible women on the app yet? Or am I the first one? Or you can text him this, or if it's your first date, you can say, so have you gone on any incredible dates yet? Or am I your first one? Right? And if you're texting, you can send a wink emoji. And this is so great because it exudes confidence. It's flirtatious. It's playful. It's unexpected, right? Most men are not going to expect to hear something like this from you. And it positions you as someone that is special in his mind right away. This is what I teach you in Magnetically Feminine Boundaries. I teach you, I have over 100 scripts of what to say to a man, whether you want to flirt with him, whether you want to stand out on a dating app or on a first date, or whether you want to set a boundary with him, or whether you want to just tease him and be flirtatious, right? Like, this is why I created the course, is because communication and conversations are so, so important in terms of how you start a relationship, early stages of dating, how the relationship progresses. And it can be very, very helpful to learn how to speak in a feminine way and to communicate in a way that's going to create an interesting conversation and make you stand out. So if you're interested, check out the course Magnetically Feminine Boundaries, because I teach you all of this based on my experience with over 100 dates that I met online. Because the key here is you have to combine strategy with authenticity. This is my approach. Authenticity, you want to show up as your authentic self, you want to show who you are, and the authenticity, and you need some strategy. If you're meeting a man online, you need a little bit of strategy, right? You want to know how to present that best version of yourself. You want to know how to relate to a man, right? It's not just about like being yourself and kicking your feet up as if you're at home watching Netflix with some popcorn, right? Putting your feet up on the table and just chewing with your mouth open and all those things, right? We don't want to be doing that. So strategy plus authenticity. This is what I teach you in all of my courses, all of my programs, and of course, when we work together through coaching. So remember, less small talk, more big talk. Focus on asking interesting questions, having interesting conversations, trying to stand out, being a little bit unique, being a little bit creative, being outside of the box, and you're going to be so much more memorable, and you're going to be able to connect with others in a way that a lot of people don't. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode on how to be charismatic, how to be your best self. And if you enjoyed it, do me a favor, leave me a rating, leave me a comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, wherever you are. And I would love to hear your feedback. I would love your support. And I cannot wait to see you next time. Bye.